Hello and welcome to episode 40 of the Roll Jump Media podcast. I am joined once again by my co-hosts Jose and Luis. What is going on, guys? Happy Saturday. How is it going?
Good morning, everyone. It's going great. Pretty second day of spring break, or um, well, I guess in our case, we have like a 4-day weekend, so this is our second day of rest.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. That means more time for rest, more time for potential video games.
Yes, Monster Hunter Rise. Anyways, more on that in a
Yeah.
bit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Yeah, like we said, more time. I mean, like Ray said, more time for games. Happy
You
of y'all to join us.
well said. You love to hear it. Today, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about the PlayStation Store for PS3, PSP, and Vita shutting down in the near future. We're going to be doing some review roundups for some games that released recently, and we're going to take a look at Nintendo Switch's first party games, how they've been and how they're shaping up in the future. But before we get into all of that, let's go ahead and get into our draft. It has been a little while. So let's go ahead and take a look at how things are shaping up. Uh,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
checking my list, and Gotham Knights
Gotham Knights
seems to have been pushed.
got delayed, and Gran Turismo 7 for me also got delayed. Luis is still in the clear. No delays for him yet.
That's right. I'm in the lead actually.
And he's in the
Very
lead. Oh
nice.
yeah, let's go over the scores. So far for me, Hitman with an 86 so far, 16 points. Jose, Salvo Defender, he had Little Nightmares 2 released for an 83, which is very good. Bravely Default 2 released to a 78, which is not bad. So he has 20 points total. And as he said, Gotham Knights has been delayed. And finally, there's Luis. He has Monster Hunter Rise with the highest score so far with an 88, which is super good.
Really good.
Cyber Shadow has 82, which is also good. He has a total of 29 points, so he's looking pretty spiffy at the moment.
Returnal is coming to sweep. Don't worry about it.
Yo, Returnal, bro. Returnal has the potential. I really hope it does well. So
Hopefully.
up, yeah. Upcoming games, we have Near Replicant on April 23rd, Returnal coming on April 30th, Resident Evil Village May 7th, about a month away, Resident Evil Village. And then we have Deathloop, Ratchet and Clank, and then so on and so forth. Which leads me to a question I got to ask you guys. Did you want to move anything? Do you want to switch anything out? I know we had to deal with the counter pick with Gotham Knights and Jose switching that game out. So, did you have a game you had in mind, Jose, that you wanted to switch out?
Yeah, well, I wanted to switch out Gotham Knights, obviously, because it's not releasing.
Right.
Um,
Oh, before you go on, we still do have time for other games to release. So unless you just want to fill it in right now with something,
oh,
uh,
okay, okay,
you
okay.
can also wait and for another game if you're not 100% in on something that's announced right now.
Okay. Well, I was actually thinking of Pokemon Snap, new Pokemon Snap. But I don't know if it's gonna get to the 80s.
Hmm.
Um, it's kind of like it's a hit or miss for Pokemon usually, so I'm a little hesitant. So, um,
Oh wait, hold on, hold on. So I had this envision. So sorry, my bad for cutting you off like twice.
yeah, no, no worries.
All right. So like how I was envisioning it is like we come to on Saturdays on the podcast and without telling anybody beforehand, during the podcast when I bring it up, we bid on the game that we had in mind, and then after we're done with the bids, we say it just in case there's overlap, and then there's like a tension there, like, did you bid higher than me? Who was gonna get it? You know what I mean?
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot to
All
make
right.
that clear.
Well, well, I'm not gonna bid on Pokemon Snap. That
Oh,
was my
okay.
point. But yeah, from this point forward, I'm not gonna say.
Okay.
But but yeah, I mean, I was considering um Pokemon Snap.
Mhm.
But yeah, not anymore.
Oh,
I'm not
okay, okay.
100% there with it. So yeah, then I'm gonna wait.
Okay, for sure, for sure. Follow-up question. Um, we're gonna allow Jose to change Gotham Knights, right? Even though Luis counterpicked it. Are you okay with that, Luis, or do you want to lock him into the Gotham Knights?
um, no, we'll allow him to change it.
Okay, okay. Just making sure you're on board with that.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. All right. So no bids for Jose, right? Not today.
Yeah, not today. I'm gonna
Okay,
wait a little longer.
sure. Luis, do you want to do any bids on anything? Are you riding high right now? Are you good?
I'm good right now. No
Okay,
bids from me.
no bids. All right. So for me, this has been a little while in the making. I've been wanting to bid on Sifu since like around the time it got announced.
Mm.
So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna bid for Sifu to replace. I'm gonna replace Disgaea 6, Defiance of Destiny.
Mm. So you're gonna make a bid on that.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to remove a publisher game. It's gonna be mine. The game is going to be Disgaea 6. Remove the game. Okay, so that has been removed for me, and now I'm gonna make a bid for Sifu. Select, and the bid, I'm just gonna put $1. All right, so that should process pretty soon, the Sifu bid. So I'm gonna be replacing my empty spot with Sifu, and that's gonna be my roster for now. I have to find another game for Gran Turismo down the road.
All right.
All right, let me go ahead and switch over the podcast screen. All right, before we head out from the draft, how are your prospects looking? Do you feel confident that you'll pull something off, or do you think you're gonna fall short?
Uh, for me, I'm pretty confident for the next few games that are coming out. Um, the hopefully Resident Evil Village. I really think it's gonna do well. And Kenna, I'm really confident about Kenna as well for the
Yo,
games that are coming up.
yeah.
Uh, I think they're pretty good bets. Um, but I also have a few on my list that I'm like, like Halo. I still I don't know that's the one that like kind of worries me.
Hmm.
Um, um, I actually don't even know if it's coming out this year. I don't think they've like confirmed anything. But yeah, Halo is one that I'm sort of like cautious about. And then God of War Ragnarok, mainly because I don't know if it's gonna come out this year,
Hmm.
but that one as well. I'm still hoping Silk Song comes out this year, and if it does, I think it's gonna do well as well. But yeah, I'm pretty confident overall in my list.
Yeah, I be too. Your list is stacked, bro.
That's right.
Jose, you want to give
For
a little? There
me,
you go. Okay.
uh, I'm I mean, first of all, I'm kind of glad Gotham Knights will not be releasing because that was my weakest. I don't know. It was like a really big hit or miss. Um, so I'm glad it got pushed back. Um, so that was my biggest concern. Everything else seems like it's a pretty good bet. I did kind of invest more on like indies or
Yeah.
less known games. So hopefully that will pay off. Um, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, I don't know if that's gonna release this year. We have heard nothing. Um, so unless they do like a surprise release or announce something for the upcoming E3 stuff, I doubt it's gonna release. Um, so we'll see about that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Returnal. I've heard some really good um stuff. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of buzz around that game. So hopefully that's gonna boost my score up. But yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, I'm looking at yours and yeah, your quote unquote indie picks, they have a lot of potential. Like Stray can be a banger, there's nothing like it. 12 minutes can be a banger too. We'll have to see, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a huge bet.
Yep, yep. And then as for me, I'm also pretty confident in mine. Near Replicant, I don't think it's gonna do as well as I initially thought. Just looking at the footage and seeing how I mean, it looks better. I mean, it has better visuals and all that, but it's going to be the original game at its core, and I don't think it's going to impress a lot of people in that regard. I think they're going to hold Near Automata higher than Near Replicant, and I'm really confident in Guilty Gear Strive. I think that's going to be 90 plus,
Really?
and yeah, yeah. Have you guys seen
Wow.
footage of it?
No.
Um, I have. I think I saw the when they announced it and they showed some gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I've seen Maximilian Dude play it, and it looks really crispy, and it's one of those top tier fighting game like names. And if you make a quality fighting game, I feel like you don't get like a widespread praise or recognition, but the people that do dig it are going to dig it to the ends of the earth.
Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, yeah. I think my list is pretty solid, and I'm just waiting to switch out Gran Turismo 7 with something promising. Cool.
Breath of the Wild. Oh wait, Jose has Breath of the Wild too.
Yeah, yeah,
No, never mind then.
yeah. Hopefully, if we're efficient, we'll get to Breath of the Wild too.
I know.
Yep.
But before we get into that track, we have something else to do before we get into our topics, and that is discuss what we've been playing. So it's been a little while since our last podcast. Things have come up, but that means that we've had more time to play games and have a little bit of topics to talk about. So let's go ahead and start it off.
All right, I'll go ahead and go first. Okay, so yeah, it's been about like what 2 weeks I think since
Two
we
or three
last
weeks.
met.
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks now.
Hmm.
Um, so I do have some updates on games that I've played. Um, so on my 2DS, I'm still playing Detective Pikachu. Um, I haven't really. I just recently like started getting to it again. Um, especially like this past week. I'm still playing Detective Pikachu. I advanced a little bit more in the story. Um, I do think that that game sort of like drags a little when it comes to like advancing the story.
Hmm.
Some I feel like there's like some unnecessary like cutscenes and things like that. but I'm I do have fun with it. I do want to get it to the end. But like I said, I haven't really been playing the 2DS that much. I've been playing more on the PS4 and Switch. I mean PS4, PS5. Um, on the PS5, finally I was playing Spider-Man, PS4 remastered.
Hmm.
I finally passed the main story for Spider-Man.
Yo, nice.
Um, yes, I know. Finally,
Yeah.
I'm still working to complete on the DLC. So that's like
Hmm.
my next mission for the game. But yeah, I'm Spider-Man. A really great game. The I sort of knew what was gonna happen in the story, but um, even though I kind of knew, I did get a little teary-eyed at the end.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and I won't go um, into it because I think I'll say my people playing it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and I've been playing more Apex as well. Uh, Again, finally, I'm able to play more Apex. Something I've been wanting to do. And I've gotten a couple of W's in the last 3 weeks.
Heck yeah, bro.
Um, but yeah, I mean Apex is fun to jump in. Uh, and then for the Switch, I believe I don't know if I mentioned it the last time we talked, but I'll go ahead and just say it again. I was playing Mario 3D World, um, Bowser's Fury. I was able to complete the um, well to complete most of the story for the 3D World. I still need one level, which is the last level, um, which it's also the hardest level. So
Hmm.
I wanted to complete it before Monster Hunter Rise came out, but I didn't. So I need to get to that. But I did play that a lot, and then once Monster Hunter Rise came out, that's what I've been focusing on. I've been playing that. I've only played um, uh, like I want to say like 7 hours worth of it.
Hmm.
Um, Character creation. I've been creating my Palamute, my Palico, and but yeah, I mean, I played yesterday uh, a couple hunts with Ure, and
Yeah.
I really really want to play more. I'll probably play that today as well, uh, but yeah, I'm looking forward to play more of Monster Hunter Rise. I'm really excited about the game, and
Man.
that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah. Healthy dose of gaming. I like it.
Yes.
Okay, so for me, um, I mean, I've been taking it slow, like like the past, um, like in the past.
Hmm.
But I have gotten to Animal Crossing occasionally, eh, not as often as before. It just doesn't. I don't know. It's not as engaging anymore. I feel like. Um, but for my birthday, Luis gifted me the some some DS games. The Pokemon Ranger
Huh.
and Pokemon Ranger Shadows of Almia, which came out for the DS. And I played Pokemon Ranger, um, and I already passed it. I 100%ed it. This is the first time I played like those spin-offs. So it was a fresh experience. And I really enjoyed these games. I'm really enjoying the second one, Shadows of Almia as well. I'm currently playing that one right now, and I don't know. It's been a lot of fun. For those who don't know, the premise is basically just you don't catch Pokemon, you capture them, which I guess it's not really a difference. But with your stylus, the way to capture them is you draw circles around it. Um, it
Hmm.
really utilizes the touch screen of the DS a lot. So um, it's I don't know, it's different. and I've always had an interest of playing them, but I never actually purchased the games until now. Um, and yeah, it's been really fun. And that's been pretty much it for me. Nothing much. I haven't played a lot of
Right.
of anything really,
Hmm.
but yeah, been taking it slow.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta take it slow, man. I can dig it.
That's right.
Yeah. Uh, DS. Are you playing it on the DS or 3DS?
I'm playing it on my 3DS.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. 3DS. 3DS are coming in clutch, man. Like during times like you don't expect it to come in clutch. Like,
yeah.
mhm. It's a nice handheld
It
to
makes
have.
me sadder. Yeah, it makes me sadder that it's no longer like in production.
Hmm. But it looks pretty. I mean, sometimes I just look at my 3DS and like, dang, you pretty, you know?
Okay.
I don't know if you can relate.
Dang,
Maybe it's
you
because I have
pretty.
the Samus one, but
Hmm.
dang, you
Yeah. Well,
pretty.
yeah, like I guess like for my 2DS, it is like I'm glad I got one because it's like I don't know. Whenever you just feel like playing something really quick or whatever, I
Yep.
mean the
Yeah.
2DS is right there or your 3DS. It's like it's very convenient.
Hmm. And there's something about like I had the PSP and the Vita, and those are
Mhm.
nice, but something about like the clamshell, just like flipping it open and just like
Yeah.
that tactile feels it makes it different in a good way.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. So as for me, I might be omitting a game here or there, but I do want to talk about like three of them. The first one that comes to mind is Call of Duty Warzone. So for Call of Duty Warzone, I kind of just wanted to give it a try because I like Apex a lot, and I did play the demo for Call of Duty Modern Warfare back in 2019, and thought it was really fun. For one reason or another, I didn't get it, but decided to try Warzone, and I also had fun with this one. Not as much fun as Apex. Apex is kind of just like it has my heart, but
Right.
yeah, but for Warzone, it's different. So Warzone, you have your loadouts. So in Apex, like you you kind of just drop and you don't have unless it's like a special event, you don't have like specific loadouts with you. When you start, you're kind of just like empty, and then you just go in and try to find what the stuff that you like. But for Warzone, like you can specify what kind of loadout that you want in the beginning, like before you get into the game. You do have to progress at like a certain level in order to unlock guns. So in the beginning, you'll have like the more basic guns that are more, like average, like they're jack of all trades kind of guns. And then as you level up, you'll get like knives or different kinds of grenades, a riot shield, things like that. So you choose your loadout, and then in order to get that loadout, you don't get it right when you drop. You have to gather enough money in order to get a care package to get that loadout. And in the meantime, you have to find guns like you do in Apex.
Mm.
Yeah. So other than that, like the main difference that I can point out is kind of the pace of the game. Like you still have your sprint, you still have a slide, but in Apex, you're kind of just like a jackrabbit, just like let loose, just running all around the map.
Right.
In this one, like I remember this one encounter I had where this dude he was inside of a building. It was kind of like a 1v1 scenario, and I think he was had like a sort of long range weapon, and he hit me once, and I was trying to peep out where he was, like so it was kind of more of a what do you call it, methodical approach to um, combating your enemy, because in Apex, like you see somebody shoot at you and you're gonna like in most cases return fire like immediately or run away.
Hmm.
But in this one, like there's different options you can take. Like you can if you have like a kill streak thing, like you can probably use like your UAV or like um, little perks that you have with you in order to give you an advantage, or you can um, like the map feels more wide open, so you can like there's a lot of buildings to go up and inside, and you can either like chill inside the building, or you can go outside, try to flank him, and go inside the house that he's in, snipe back. um, it's more tense. It's more tense. It's like you're
Hmm.
actually in a in a war
In
scenario.
war.
Yeah. hmm So I guess it just depends on what mood you're in for. If you're in for like a quick arcadey match, just go in, drop in, not too much stress. I think Apex is more will be more up your alley. But if you're looking for a more tactical kind of game, but it's still kind of fast paced, just not as fast paced as Apex. I think that Warzone is something that you would like. I do want to get you inside of it so you can feel the difference. I feel like there's pros and
Mhm.
cons to both, and there's something to like about diving into both games.
Yeah, yeah. Well, ever since you mentioned it, I do kind of want to try it.
hmm
And I've heard like online, like on Twitter and on YouTube, like people who play it that for them it's like the best, um, the best, what's it called, the battle royale they played.
Yeah. hmm
Um, so ever since it's like okay, I'm kind of curious, if to try it out.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll be worth your time. Definitely. And I also wanted to talk about I re-downloaded and played Dragon Ball Fighter Z or Dragon Ball Fighters. Like I was saying,
Mhm.
I was watching Maximilian dude, which he's known for his fighting games, like
Right.
putting it on YouTube, streaming it, all that good stuff. And for some reason, just like watching him, it kind of made me want to try it myself, see how my mind has changed for video games. Maybe I'm more receptive to fighting games now. Um, and yeah, I had some fun with playing Dragon Ball Fighters. I had go-to characters already. I had Trunks. Trunks, he's my boy. Like I always keep Trunks in the game. And I had waifus before. I had Android 21 and I had Android 18. But this time I decided to mix it up. I chose Hits and Android 17 as a team that I use for online. And something about a fighting game, man, it makes your brain work in a different way. Like it also is a little frustrating, but as a person, I like beating my head against the wall trying to figure out something that's hard for me to grasp initially.
Hmm.
So you kind of have to have that with the fighting game. You have to um, be okay with not being good in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's like common knowledge. Like it comes with the territory. A lot of practicing your moves into combos, knowing that even if you practice it and you know your moves pretty well, you go into a real game scenario and it's more frantic, and the pace that you were used to in practice mode isn't the same going against somebody online. So there's a lot of hurdles to go over, and I do like that. But I think I'm gonna take it in doses because I can't do it all the time. It's too tense for me.
It yeah, it can be
Yeah,
too intense.
yeah, it's a little too intense. And I guess the last one I want to talk about is Monster Hunter Rise. So Monster Hunter Rise, man. I got into Monster Hunter with Monster Hunter World. Played the demo back in like end of 2017. Bought it in the beginning of 2018. Loved it. Put around like 200 hours or more into it, I believe. And
Dang.
yeah, into Monster Hunter World.
Mhm.
And I didn't have anybody to play with. Like I had a PS Plus. I could play with like randoms, but I never really grouped with people.
Mhm.
And I still had a blast. This one, the wire bug, man. The wire bug just it
It
changes the
changes.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a game changer. Like, uh, I know a lot of people say that, but it just flows into everything that you do really. Like if you jump off your dog and you palamute and you just like wire bug up a cliff and then
You
just
can
jump off
run.
that cliff. Yeah, run up the cliff, run around, jump off. It works into your moves, which
Hmm.
is new. Um, just a lot of parkour. And when you say parkour
Right.
and it's done well, it's just like my ears perk up, and it's that can be a game in itself. Pretty much, charge me like $40 for that game, and I do it without the monster
Yeah.
monster hunting part. Oh man, yeah. I put a lot of hours into it so far. I think I have like 25, 26 hours into Monster Hunter
Okay.
Rise already,
Hmm.
and it has a lot of charm too. Just like the village, talking to everybody, the dongo, eating the dongo before you go on to missions. Oh my
Hmm.
goodness.
There. Thing.
Just the little things, man. They add up, and even though it's all about monster hunting, like you do demolish these monsters like
Hmm.
like relentlessly. but
Yeah.
but somehow whoever the people behind it, they know how to present it to where it doesn't feel out of place as a like a flagship game for the Nintendo Switch. It's jolly.
Hmm.
It's really jolly. I'm looking forward to playing it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, like just adding to that, like because I my first Monster Hunter was Ultimate, and basically you
Mm.
were the one who kind of like got me into it.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I mean, having played that and having played like it took me a while to get into like the Ultimate. But yeah, having like playing Rise right now. Like you said, like the bug wire, it changes like it incorporates like the bug wire into like your combat, like really like flawlessly, and it's just another move, and I don't know,
Mm.
like you said, like you can jump on the wall and then jump from it and attack and create combos, and I don't know, I really like it, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it's more um, fluid, like the combat, it's more fluid
Yeah.
as well, and yeah, like just playing with like someone, in this case you, like
Mm-hmm.
it's really fun. Like really really fun. Yesterday, like I said, we were doing some hunts, and I don't know, like time flies by, and it's like I don't know, it's
Oh,
just really really fun,
phew.
and I don't know, like I'm really really enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I was gonna say something. The Palamutes, dude, they changed the game too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even like if I had to choose between the cat, like if it wasn't called Meowth Junior, like if I didn't have that personal attachment, like
Yeah.
I'd be choosing my dog the whole time.
Hmm.
It's just because you just get around so quickly, like you don't have to just run everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, I really hope this game sells well. I hope that Nintendo continues to support it to
To
the long
support it.
run because it has legs. Like if World had taught us anything, is that if it sells well and the team has incentive to keep doing it because everybody loves it, then we're gonna have a really prolific and healthy game to keep us satisfied for years to come.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then it's coming for PC, no? In 1 year, I think it's like a 1 year exclusive for Switch, I believe.
Yeah, about that time frame. Um, it's going to be coming to PC, yes. But I couldn't wait. Had to get it for the Switch, and I don't regret it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, not that I have a PC right now to run it well anyway, but that's besides the point. All right. So that was about we're at the 35-minute mark, and we're barely gonna get into this into the
Into the
topics.
news.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get into it. How about we'll start with the review roundups. So there was a couple of games that released recently that piqued my intrigue. I wanted to go over them. The first one is It Takes Two. You guys know what It Takes Two is, right?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
from Forest, right? Um,
Yeah.
that guy, yeah.
Oscars guy. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Jose, you're familiar with Joseph Ferris
Yes.
and yeah, yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so I took the PC version of It Takes Two, and it's doing really well, reviewing really well. It has a 90 on Metacritic, PC version.
What?
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Should have chosen that one. Damn.
dude, that would have been a clutch pick, man. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. This is what GameSpot had to say about It Takes Two. They said, "It Takes Two is the best 3D platformer I played since Super Mario Odyssey, and like that game, it has a flair for variety. Despite the downright wild amount of things to do, It Takes Two manages to handle every mechanic well." Gave it a 90. And I also have one from Shaq News, also gave the game a 90. And they said, "Playing It Takes Two took me back to the era of couch co op games that I would play with my friends and family. The shared laughs, frustration, and triumphs are an aspect of co op games that I had sorely missed. With inventive and creative gameplay puzzles, coupled with some unique environments, It Takes Two is without a doubt the greatest couch co op game I played in recent memory."
Oh.
What really got me was that best 3D platformer I played since Super Mario Odyssey.
Odyssey, and Odyssey is pretty big.
Yeah. I don't think they mean scale. I think they just mean like fun factor probably.
Hmm.
But yeah, It Takes Two doing it up, doing well critically. I'm glad for it.
Is this game
Yeah.
similar to his previous games? Like how I believe there's like there's split screen, no?
Yeah, so couch co-op split screen.
Hmm.
They also have the thing where if you buy a copy of the game, you have a friend's pass and you can just your
Mm.
friend can just
You can
play
just
without buying the game.
right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it had like good reviews from critics.
For real. And I think on the other platforms it's like high 80s, so not too much of a deviation. Yeah, so if one of us had got the game, we could just like share it with each other
With
and
each other.
yeah.
Hmm.
So It Takes Two. Hope it does well, sales wise as well. Next game that I have, Outriders. So Outriders, it dropped on April 1st, and I have some quotes. First thing I want to do is like describe what Outriders is, and GameSpot described it pretty well. They described it as quote unquote a role playing game with looter elements. It's a serious, dark sci-fi outing with a big dose of goofiness and humor. It's a cover shooter that demands you rush out and smash enemies with your ludicrously lethal magic powers. Just as a basis. I did play
Hmm.
this with your bro, and we did have a good time.
Hmm.
We did have a good time. Did you guys peep us playing it
Just a little bit.
just for a
Yeah.
little bit?
Just we did. I think I don't know if I'm confusing it with another game, but um, I think I did see some of it.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Let's go into the quotes. So Outriders is unscored right now. I'm thinking it's because there's a lot to see, and not everybody has gotten that far. But this first quote is from Game Informer, and they said, quote, "This game takes the best of looter shooters and the best of sci-fi RPGs and blends these elements into a game experience that is worth diving into because of its high replayability, customizable playstyle, and fun story." The second quote I have is from PlayStation Universe, and they said, "Outriders has definitely left a better impression than the demo did. Offering more varied environments and upping the intrigue of the story has kept me invested early on, and I expect some more reveals to happen along the way, refreshing that intrigue. Despite not looking like a next gen game, the combat is the strongest asset, and so far it has been a blast to run around and demolish foes and monsters at every turn. The crunchy and satisfying action and visceral feeling abilities offer a lot of variety, and customization seems to be vast. I'm excited to see just what Outriders holds deeper into the experience and just how it is set to evolve. But right now, it is hitting the mark in a lot of areas and might become something I replay over and over again because the core loop is just that good. All right, so that's the end of the quotes that I have. Again, it's unscored, but pretty positive from the reviews that I've been seeing. Not a lot
Mhm.
to not to not like. Did you expect the game to get positive reviews, or did you expect it to be more averagey?
I'm a little surprised that it got um like positive reviews. Like you said, I was expecting more like average
Hmm.
scores. Um, but I mean, I'm glad it's doing well. Uh, but just really quick, like, how would you describe this game? Like, what would you compare it to,
How
if
would
you
I?
could?
I would compare it to it's like the gameplay loop of Destiny,
Hmm.
but the it feels more like a Gears of War kind of game.
Okay.
Yeah. So gameplay wise, Gears of
Hmm.
War, Destiny, like gameplay elements.
The elements that it has.
Yeah,
Okay.
like the UI, gathering all the loot, going back to a central hub and talk to like NPCs, that kind of deal.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, because uh, yeah, I was wondering because I don't think I've seen enough like gameplay of it, so I was wondering
Yeah.
what kind of game it was. So
Hmm. By Gears of War, I'm mostly referring to like taking cover, shooting from cover.
right, it's like a cover shooter. No,
Yeah,
I think that's what they call it.
yeah. Even though they say that it's not encouraged, like it's there, but they want you to actually like use your abilities, like go in, be
Mhm.
offensive. So what I played, it's fun. I think it's just like my personal thing is like I feel like the game is too stiff. Like the abilities that I casted in the running and all that. It's a far cry from
Mhm.
something like a Monster Hunter, in my opinion. Like movement wise.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, but yeah, everything else that we're talking about, I feel like it. I would have the same opinion. And speaking of Monster Hunter Rise, let's see how it's getting reviewed. So far, it has an 87 on Metacritic, and I have a couple of quotes here. So the first one is from Easy Allies. Easy Allies gave it a 90 out of 100, and they said, even with a few complaints, Monster Hunter Rise is an excellent addition to a series that carries high expectations. Rather than just follow what has been successful in the past, Rise goes out of its way to experiment with bold new ideas that make it a more captivating game, whether it's your first Monster Hunter or you cooked thousands of well done steaks before. The modest power of the Switch does little to diminish the thrill of the hunt, considering how great the game looks and runs. Without a doubt, Rise isn't just a worthwhile Monster Hunter entry, but an essential game for anyone who owns the Nintendo's hybrid console. The second quote I have is from The Gamer. I didn't write down the score, unfortunately. I don't know if it was scored or not, but here is the quote that I have. It is it's a great entry point thanks to the village quest and helpful dog companion. If you're a fan or who already pre-ordered and want to know if it's good, rest assured, you might actually like Rise better than World, as it brings back some of the strategic variety while building on more recent quality of life updates. It's a shame that the Switch holds the game back in small ways, but this is a contender for best in the series. If post launch support is as good as it was for World, this game could easily rise above the rest.
Damn, see what they did there.
Yeah. Yeah. So 87. 87. Very, very respectable. Very good. I think it should be higher, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, we already talked a little bit about that, about Monster Hunter Rise, and I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised that it's doing very well. Even before, well, when they showed it off, and uh, at the Capcom event,
Mhm.
um, you know, I think like the a lot of people had like the same thought, right? That it looked great. And I did see, especially like Monster Hunter fans who who played previous Monster Hunter, they liked that they incorporated a lot of world, like they
Mhm.
all say, um, but they also sort of like kept it, or they went back to like the Monster Hunter, or like the previous or the older games, like um, the feel of those games as well,
Mhm.
and they, from what I've heard, they sort of like incorporated both types of games into one. So
Yeah.
I wasn't really surprised that it got really good reviews. A lot of people were saying that it looked great as well. For the like when the demo released, a lot of people were surprised that it was actually running very well, and that online was very well, running very well on the Switch.
Right.
So I was confident. I was confident that it was going to be a good game. And I'm
I
glad.
sh-
I'm glad that it's doing numbers.
yeah. Man, I should have had more confidence in the beginning of the year, man. I thought it was going to something was going to be iffy about it,
Mhm.
but alas, I was wrong. And now you reap the benefits with your team. It's well
That's right.
deserved. You had faith. I did not.
I took a leap of faith.
Yeah. Yeah. I respect it. Okay. So this was I didn't mention this game with to you guys, but I had thought about it after the fact, or it came to my mind. Balan Wonderworld.
Oh,
I decided to include it in the review roundup. So let's see what people think about Balan Wonderworld. So Balan Wonderworld, I took the best score from the version of the game that had the best score. It was a PS5 version. It has a 57 on Metacritic. Just
that's the best
as
score.
Yeah, that was the best score on the best score that I saw.
Mhm.
For background, this is a game directed by Yuji Naka. He is the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog, as per Wikipedia. So the highest score that was in this category, the PS5 category, was an 82. I did not have a quote, but I did not take the quote, but I just wanted to say that somebody thought it was worthy of an 82. That was on the high end. Here are the quotes that I have. This is from COG Connected. They gave it a 60. Balan Wonderworld features a range of interesting ideas that are plagued by dated mechanics. Even after losing yourself in the absurd universe, you are quickly brought back to reality due to the rigid movement and odd control scheme that oppose expectations of the genre. Although the game has a lot of charm, it does little to stand out amongst the crowd, and due to this, it can be rightfully overlooked. The second quote I have is from PlayStation Universe that gave it a 50 out of 100. They said, sometimes Balan Wonderworld invokes a bygone era of platformers very well, but this is all too fleeting a feeling. All the creativity seems to have gone into the characters and music, while the actual act of platforming leaves a lot to be desired. It's far from the worst modern platformer, but given the names involved, it is a thoroughly underwhelming one. So, Balan Wonderworld has been the butt of jokes lately
Yeah.
because of how the game is. Are you guys familiar with it? Were you expecting this reception?
Yeah, when the demo released,
Hmm.
um, I remember like hope. Well, I was looking forward to see like what people said,
Hmm.
about the game. I didn't get the chance to try the demo, but when I heard about the experiences that they had with the demo.
Hmm.
Um, I was kind of like glad that I didn't try it out. Yeah, but yeah, apparently like the movement, and I saw it. I saw it too. I saw some gameplay of it. The movement is really like slow, and it's weird how the characters move.
Hmm.
Um, Also like the button scheme. There's like 4 buttons you can use to jump. Um, I don't know why, or I don't know. It's so weird to me. Like that in that case, like for having 4 buttons to jump.
Hmm.
Um, like how? Like like what happened? Did
Dude.
they not put like a lot of like time to think about those things? It's strange. It's very strange to me. I don't understand like the certain decisions that they made. Um, Also like the power ups in the game. Uh, I remember seeing like there's a power up there that turns you into like a box or something. Uh, but it for some reason like there's the case where you just fall off the map or something, and you can't really do
Uh,
anything about it.
mm,
I don't know. It's strange. It's a strange thing.
yeah. They definitely went for something though. Like those cutscenes, like high
Oh
budget,
yeah,
no?
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I saw the cutscenes and they look pretty good. But then you start playing it, I guess.
Yeah, and the seams start to show. Oh man. Oh, whoever got this game, I hope that you enjoy
It's like 3 people only.
Right
it.
after like trashing it.
Oh man. Okay. 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 All right. So that was a lot of review roundups. Let's go ahead and move on. Um, this next story is a kind of old one, but I think it's important to talk about still. And that is the PlayStation Store for PS3 and PSP and PS Vita shutting down in the near future. The details that I have are from Owen S. Good from Polygon and Zach Zweisen from Kotaku. This is what I have. So, Sony has confirmed that the PSN digital stores on PlayStation 3 and PSP will be closing on July 2nd. The PS Vita store will also shut down on August 27th. Sony explained that players will still be able to re-download content that they own after the shutdown date. Folks will also be able to still be able to redeem PS Plus and game vouchers, although wallet vouchers will no longer work on these stores after they close. Cross-buy games with the PS4 or PS5 will still be available. Just not through the PS3, PS Vita, or PSP stores. For those who want a refund for any PSN wallet funds left over after store access closes, Sony will issue refunds and will provide more information on requesting one later. If anybody watching wants more information on the closure, more information can be found on PlayStation's official website. So, this happened not too long ago. PS3, PSP, Vita stores, they have games that are exclusive to those platforms, and with the store shutting down, there won't be any way for people to buy them unless they want to find a physical version, most likely on eBay. Um, it's kind of easy to see what problems arise as far as convenience and you know game preservation that only released digitally. I'm sure there are examples of those. How do you guys feel about this?
So I've heard some conversations about this whole situation, and I think it all boils down to uh, it's closing down well in this case stores, right? But it's like there's sources of games uh, that you might not be able to find physically, or if you do want them physically, they're gonna the prices are gonna blow up, right?
Hmm.
And it's about uh, preservation, I guess, of video games.
Right.
Um, and I think it's a very a complicated topic, I guess, or not so complicated. Like it's very um, like there's a lot of discussion, right? That I've heard um, about the situation. In
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, I think uh, it's sad, I guess, because like you were saying, right, that there's some games that were exclusive to those platforms, right? And they're closing out these stores, and you won't be able to get these games anymore. Um, Especially like if they're only like digital, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's kind of it's sad to see that. Yeah, because again, a lot of these games, and now I'm talking about like in general terms, like Nintendo. Nintendo has done similar things with their like Wii shop and like the Wii U shop and things like that, where they sort of like they stop supporting it, um, and it's like there's a lot of games that you know you won't be able to find anymore, or you won't be able to to play if you want to play.
Right.
And I think that like that aspect it does suck because like if you want to if you're a new video game player, right, and you want to play these games, you won't have anywhere to find them, and you won't be able to play those games unless they're ported or unless they're re-released later on in future consoles or
Mm-hmm.
remakes and things like that. So I don't know. It's very. Uh, it's. I think it's sad. It's a sad situation. Um, and I don't know. Like I was thinking about it the other day, right? Like people, or or um, I don't. Well, developers and the big uh, video game heads and things like that. They like to see video games like an art form, and I do kind of agree that it is an art form, but uh, like what are we doing to preserve the art form? What are we doing to
Mm.
perform these like pieces of art, right? um like we can compare it to movies or um music, right? They are available to you in certain platforms, um physical releases. uh, I don't know. For some movies, there's always like a 30th anniversary re-release and things like that. So, well, like in some way, maybe excluding Disney because Disney is kind of shady regarding their movies and their whole vault and all that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't for video games. It's there's video games that are forgotten. They're we don't see them anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's like what are we doing to preserve these games and for them to be available to new generations of people and and for what are we doing to keep them available for future generations as well. And it's like I don't know, I was thinking about that the other day, and
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know, it's complicated. I don't know.
Right. Uh, yeah.
I mean, I kind of have to agree with what Luis said. He pretty much
Mm-hmm.
covered everything. And I mean, I did mention when we were talking about what games we're playing, how the 3DS is like it's over. That whole era is over, and there's so many games on that console that um, I don't know. Like, I don't know if we'll ever get ports of. I don't know if we'll ever get re-releases of. Um, and so, like Luis said, like these are games that die with the console, and it's sad how in this case, some of these games will probably never be seen again. um, and I mean, it's always sad, and like Luis said, if we want to see video games as an art form, if we want other people to take it as an art form, we have to treat it as an art form, and not as
Hmm.
some, you know, dispensable, piece of entertainment to be left behind.
Right.
So I mean, I think it's it's always sad. Um, I don't know if down the line they'll fix it or bring those games back, but there's always a little bit of sadness there.
Definitely. Um, Also, a lot of people are comparing what Sony's doing to contrast it with Xbox and how they're just like bolstering their backwards compatibility capabilities and how that's a pro um, on Xbox's platform. The only thing there is that if you're a PlayStation head, like you don't really, you're probably not going to care too much about Xbox's catalog, but for Xbox players, like they're getting the better end of the deal right now with Phil Spencer and them on that side
Mhm.
of the equation. Um, like recent games that I played through the PS, like my Vita has become like mostly a PS1 machine. Like games like Parasite Eve, I played on there. Resident Evil 3, Nemesis from the PS1, I played on there. I also bought Parasite Eve 2, Dino Crisis, those kind of games, though they're just like if people want to play them, like there's no option other than getting it physical, have the original like a system to play it on. It's just a more hoops and more costly of an option when it probably is not burning a hole in Sony's pockets to just keep this up for people to play these games. So corporations are going to corporation. So
Right.
yeah,
Exactly. And it's like, I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Um, Before we move on, I wanted to make like one thing clear. I don't think I made it that clear. As far as my understanding, for cross-buy games with the PS4 or PS5 being still available, I'm talking about like PS4 slash PS3 games where you have like both versions, PS5 slash PS3, PS4 slash Vita. Those games you'll still be able to buy them after the fact, just not through the PS3 store, Vita store, or the PSP store.
Or the
I'm
PSP
thinking,
store.
yeah, I'm thinking that you'll still be able to download them to your console, just not buy them on those the PS3, PS
Stores.
Vita, or PSP
Yeah.
store. Yeah. Mhm. But yeah, I think it was good to talk about this. Like, um, it's all fun and games most of the time with games looking forward to things that come out, but those games that we look forward to eventually become history, and we
Exactly.
we want those games. We want to play those games. You never know when we want to and
Hmm.
support the industry. So yeah, something to think about. Last thing that I wanted to do before we go into wrapping up the show, Nintendo Switch first party games. So Nintendo, they've been drip feeding us information. It's been painful.
Yeah.
It's been painful. Their last direct was a lot of us were left wanting. They're keeping their card to their chest, so we're just kind of left speculating. So
Hmm.
I thought it was a good time to just look back at what Nintendo has given us with the Switch, and just appreciate what we had, and just look forward to the things that are to come. So I wanted to start with 2017. The games that I have here, I got from Wikipedia. The first party games. We won't have them all, but we should have a good discussion nonetheless. And we're already an hour and five in, so we're probably not going to get through all of them, but we'll just get through as
Hmm.
much as we can. All right, so let's start with 2017. 2017, big year for the Switch, release year.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it's a better. It's a bit. I don't think I can't think of a better starting off point than Breath of the Wild.
One of the best games on the Switch.
I don't think that's arguable. Like, it might not be one of the best
Yeah,
games for you, but it is one of the best games on the Switch.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So how was it like? How was it like playing that game like back in 2017?
Dude, well, I mean, just like it was a brand new Zelda game since Skyward Sword, at least the 3D Zelda game. So, you know, the the wait for it, it was pretty long too. Like I Skyward Sword came out what in 2010,
Hmm.
and so we had to wait uh, some time to get the next Zelda game. Um, there wasn't a remake, of course, but I don't know. I remember being a launch title for the Switch. It was kind of at least for me. I was very excited to finally play it
Hmm.
because we had already seen some footage of it and some gameplay of it, and I don't know. And I think it's one of the at least for me one of the best experiences that I've had playing a game. Uh, it's a franchise that I love. Um, that it's close to my heart. So finally being able to play it, an open world Zelda, and just I don't know. I think like the first playthrough of that game, it's very eye opening. Like just starting the game and going anywhere you want, discovering little things, this figuring out how to do things and realizing you can do different things,
Hmm.
um, and just seeing little like the details in the world and discovering a new town or a new person that you can talk to. I don't know. To me, that was like it was. I don't know how to describe it. Like beautiful, I guess. I know it sounds corny, but it's very.
No, I get
I
it.
really enjoyed. I really enjoyed my time with that game. Probably. I mean, Breath of the Wild is probably one of the, if not my favorite Switch game so far.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I love the game for what it did. Um, to for me, I guess. Um, but yeah.
Yeah. Ho- Jose, you want to add something?
Um, well, I think it was a I think it was a huge like step for the franchise. I also feel like that game became the standard, um, for better and for worse, in some cases, just because I feel like a lot of people, saw what, Breath of the Wild, brought to the table for that franchise.
Hmm.
Um, and what, and I mean, it's a game that Nintendo fans have never had the chance to experience on a Nintendo console, at least of that magnitude. So I think it raised the expectations for future games, for games that came after Breath of the Wild.
Mm.
Um, one of those being Pokemon, the Pokemon franchise.
Right.
Um,
Mm.
and I think in that case, it did affect it negatively, just because, yeah, I don't want to get too much into that, but like because fans saw what the Switch was able to bring to the Zelda franchise, they expect all other games to bring you know, that same level of material, to the rest of the franchises. And I think Breath of the Wild being like the first, you know, title Switch game, or one of the first, um, it really just set the bar, really high, um, for the rest of the games in the Switch, franchise.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean that's good because it pushes everybody else to do better, but it also sets unrealistic expectations for some franchises that were not built for that, or at least they're not at that level yet. They're not at that point where, okay, this is a natural step to take now to
Mm-hmm.
create this, you know, Breath of the Wild like game. Um, and so, I mean, I guess you could take it both ways. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I think it's one of the best games released in recent history, and it inspired, so many other games in the Nintendo franchise, in the Nintendo within Nintendo, and then outside of Nintendo as well.
Right. Um, when I think of Breath of the Wild, I kind of I also think of the 20 was it the 2016 E3 where they showed it off? I believe so.
Yeah, I think so. Where
Yeah.
they only showed off like, but that was basically Nintendo C3, like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Switch hadn't come out yet. And they were talking about how the map was going to be, I think they were talking about how it was comparable to Skyrim, if not bigger. And
Mm.
I'm like, how how is a Nintendo console gonna support gonna be able to freaking not fry
How the
itself?
hell?
Yeah,
Yeah,
trying to make a map as big as Skyrim. But lo and behold, these madmen at Nintendo, madmen and women, freaking blew all of our expectations out of the water, made a freaking gorgeous game. You
they did it.
even to this day, I feel like Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is a joy to look at. It's so beautiful, and yeah, it's like you were saying, when I was saying I feel what you're talking about, how you're talking about how Breath of the Wild is beautiful. Like some of my greatest memories of Breath of the Wild is just you actually feel like an adventurer, like a solo adventurer, but you're going out, deal with the elements, deal with like random mobs out in the world, try to be crafty with your and resourceful with all the resources that you have at the moment. Um, it really felt like an adventure in its purest form.
Hmm.
Let's see, 2017, we also had it wasn't a brand new game, but we had Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that same year. What else can we say about Mario Kart 8, dude? Mario Kart 8 is just
It
amazing.
never dies.
Yeah.
It will never die.
I think people just know what Mario Kart 8 is. It's just I don't know if there needs to be an explanation for it. It just plays so well.
Exactly. I think it's the best Mario Kart. In my for me,
Hmm,
like in terms of I don't know, like the gameplay, I guess, and the look of it. Yeah, like I'm sure a lot of people enjoy, I don't know, Double Dash
definitely.
better, or I don't know, Super the 64, or you know,
Hmm,
everyone has their favorites, right? But I think in terms of, I think it's I don't know, like Mario Kart 8, it's like peak, peak peak Mario Kart experience. It's just so good, that
hmm.
game.
Yes.
But I won nine.
What happened?
But I won nine already.
Oh
Mario Kart
yeah.
9.
The only way they can do better is just
Not happening.
that I'm envisioning more tracks and more like and have guest characters
Hmm.
like Smash It.
Right. I mean, they could even add like DLC to this one, and I'll be fine with it. But I don't know. They just don't.
Hmm. Yep. What else was in 2017? 2017, we had a new IP. A new IP. Dashi would say Orms. Check out Orms. Arms came out in 2017, and
Yep.
I feel like amongst our group, we weren't really too hot on Orms,
Mhm.
No.
but
Um,
Like honestly, Arms it's a game that like I was interested in, and if given the chance, I would buy it like right now. Because from what I played with the demo and like
the trials that they offered. I did have fun with the game,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
and it's a really cool idea. It's a creative idea, and a lot of the time we ask Nintendo, to release new things and new IPs and all this, and I'm glad that they took that risk. You know, they wanted to recreate like the success of Splatoon, which was like the previous or the newest IP back then,
Right.
before ARMS, and I think they created a good. I mean, I'm sure it's a good game, right? And it's already being represented in Smash, and it has all these characters that people love. Um, so I'm glad that it came out. I'm glad that people got to experience it. And maybe in the future we get a sequel or something, and hopefully they improve a lot of the things about the game. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think it was a cool idea, and I like that again. Nintendo was giving us something new, or giving the player something new to try.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it released in the summer, and we already had Zelda Breath of the Wild, and we had Mario Kart Deluxe. I don't know if that, like, there wasn't enough of a like dry spell for people to like calm down from that hype and give Arms a better
A fair
shot.
shot.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Um, but a game that did not need a better shot to thrive, Splatoon 2.
I know. Um, Splatoon 2, I mean, again, the Splatoon was already successful. And I do think that they wanted, instead of porting the first game, they decided, let's come out with a sequel. And I mean, I think that the base game of Splatoon 2, it's more of Splatoon, of the first Splatoon, right? Um, it looks better, obviously,
Hmm.
and it runs better. But I think, um, to me, I think what made Splatoon really good, I think, was like the expansion. Um, I think, came out later on, like the following year, I think, maybe.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, like, I don't know. I think that expansion, the auto expansion, it's I don't know, it's nicely done. I think, the content that's in that game, there's a challenge to the to that, right? That to the missions that you have to do for that, with that expansion. And I think I like the expansion better than the base game of Splatoon 2. I think it's
Ah,
it's really cool. It's really cool. I like how they connected it to like the story and all that. Um, but yeah. Um, and I don't Splatoon 2. I think, like, it's one of those top franchises now for Nintendo. So it was really cool to see it come back for the Switch, and for it to. I was glad, I was glad that it didn't die with the Wii U. No offense to the Wii U, but um, that they continue to support it, and now it's like this big franchise for Nintendo, especially in Japan. Like, it's huge, so uh, I I I enjoy it. So I was glad.
yeah. Um, Jose, I know you played quite a bit of Splatoon 2, I believe, right?
Yeah. I don't know, Splatoon. I mean, I think Splatoon was, if the Wii U, was the failure, I guess, quote unquote. If there's one good thing about that whole era, it's Splatoon.
Mm,
That was like the one, you know IP that made it. um, and I mean, and I think I've mentioned this before. Like, I'm always happy to see Nintendo kind of expand and be able to, because especially Nintendo, I feel like when you already have like these franchises that are so established and so iconic and so loved and successful, um, there's no incentive to move on and try different things
Mm,
because you already know that those franchises are going to sell. But even when the company wants to move on, maybe the fans, they've already settled in with those huge franchises, and so they don't see the need to invest in new franchises or maybe look into those new franchises. So it's always nice to see, you know, like a new franchise be born. Um, and we were able to, all the games that Nintendo has had, we've I mean, I think we're too young to have seen the start of those franchises.
hmm.
Obviously Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. Um, well, with Pokemon I was 2 years old, but I have no recollection of that. So to be able to see this particular franchise, Splatoon, to be able to witness that and have actually been part of it, because we purchased Splatoon, the first Splatoon.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I think it's a privilege. I think it's really cool to see. Um, and now we're on the third installment of Splatoon coming up. Um, we'll see where the franchise goes, but yeah, it's congrats to them. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Splatoon. I only played the. I didn't buy it yet. I do plan on buying it sometime down the road, or maybe I should just wait for three. You think I should just wait for three or two? What do you guys think at this point?
I think at this point, maybe just wait for three. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking too. Just like
Yeah, probably.
start
I mean,
fresh, you
if we're
know.
lucky, they might have like a discount. Just kidding.
I
This is
think that
Nintendo we're talking about. There's no discounts.
the cheapest I've seen it was like mid 30s, high 30s around there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point I think I'm just gonna get on the Splatoon 3 train. Uh let's go ahead and finish out 2017, 20 because we're getting to that time. We have couple or a few games left. Let's go with Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Dude, this game, it was very
Overlooked.
overlooked. It took me by surprise, honestly. Um, I believe this. Did you get us this game for like our birthday or something, right?
I got it for your brother, I think, but he said that you already had it.
We already
We
had
already
it.
had it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really glad that we got this game. Um, th- I don't know, like if I were to make like a list of like top like top Switch games, like first party games, yeah, Mario Rabbids might be up there. I really enjoy my time with it. Um, uh, before it released, I remember hearing that it was gonna be like a crossover between Mario and the Rabbids. I never played any Rabbids game or I wasn't. I knew what they were because I would always see them everywhere.
Hmm.
Um, and I know people said that they were annoying and they didn't really have a persona or like an identity. It was just like basically the minions. Um, yeah, so I was a little worried, what kind of game it would be. But then when they showed it off and they showed that it was gonna be like um like a strategy game. Um, I don't know, and even before they showed it, well, when they showed or when they they revealed that it was gonna be like a strategy game, I remember looking at it and thinking, that it looked great, it looked nice. I remember in particular, I thought Rabbit Luigi looked really, really adorable,
Okay.
like in the first trailer.
Yeah.
But even then, like I wasn't really sure how to feel because I wasn't really familiar with like strategy games, turn-based strategy games, or I think that's what they call them, or tactical
RPGs. I don't know.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and I was a little hesitant, like about it. But then we got it and I played it, and I honestly I love that game. Um, if a sequel ever comes out, I probably buy it. I also played we bought the expansion, I guess, of like Donkey Kong.
Oh,
I
right.
played that too. Um, it's I don't know, it's really fun. The music, I think I would describe it as like you say, Ray, jolly. So
Jolly.
um, yeah, so
I
I don't
agree
know.
with it.
Yeah, shout out.
Yeah.
Eh, but but yeah, it's just a nice game to play. Really, it makes you think, and there's different strategies you can take. And I really had a blast with that game.
I think that was like almost as equally as passionate as Breath of the Wild, dude.
I know, right? Yeah, maybe even so.
Dang.
She is my number one. Nah, it's my number two.
Yo, I feel like I played this game. Did they when we were like chilling together at
Our friends, right? I think
yeah.
I think we did play it a little bit of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, another one of these games I missed out on. I just didn't pull the trigger, even though it's pretty cheap. It was pretty cheap
Hmm.
pretty quickly. Um, I'm gonna take your word for it, man. From the looks of it, it looks amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's a really good looking game
yeah,
as well. But I don't know. I'm glad too. We got to see that collaboration between Ubisoft and Nintendo.
yeah.
Hopefully, we'll get more.
All right. Are we ready to move on to the next one?
Yes, let's go.
Okay. Uh, we probably don't have a lot to talk about with this one just yet, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 released in 2017. Y'all, we've all have experienced the original Xenoblade Chronicles.
Hmm.
Um, what's your thoughts about 2? I know you guys plan to dive on in. I also plan to dive into Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Uh, how do you feel?
Yeah.
How'd you feel about this one?
Well, I remember when they showed it off, right, and they said that it was gonna come out like that at the end of the year. Um, I remember being interested in it, mainly because of the first game. What I had heard from the first game, the Xenoblade Chronicles.
Hmm.
That it was one of the best RPGs for some, and that the or JRPGs, I guess. And that people really loved the first game. So I remember being interested in the second game, but I wanted to play the first game first. And, so even though I was kind of interested in it, it's sort of like I wasn't really thinking about getting it because I still hadn't played the first one. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but um, I don't know. It was intriguing, uh, especially the character design very different from the first game and from Xenoblade Chronicles X that came out in the Wii U. So it was interesting to see those changes. But like you said, I already have the second game, or I bought it. We'll probably get into it in the future. Uh, Luckily, we were able to. We got the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles, the first game on the Switch. So
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about that throughout the podcast. But
Mhm. Yeah.
uh, you know, I don't know. Having played that, I remember getting the game and thinking, okay, now I'm gonna get the second game, and then it was really hard for me to find one because there wasn't a lot of stock of it, and there was, but it was kind of expensive. Um, so, but alas, I finally got it, and I do want to play it.
Right.
Some people consider it like one of the best games in the Switch as well. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
I really want to play it too. Um, but I don't know. Like I'm hesitant in playing just because I know that if I start playing it, I'm gonna get like obsessed. Because that's what happened with Xenoblade Chronicles. Like I just found myself like wanting to keep playing, um, and it just became very unhealthy. But
Yeah, you guys
but
barreled
yeah,
through that game.
yeah. So because it's so engaging and um it's so much fun.
Hmm.
But and I don't know. I think like the storyline, the what is it like the
Like,
substance of the storyline,
uh,
the themes and the plot twists and the dialogue, voice acting, all of that is
hmm,
are things that as Nintendo fans, I mean, we gotta be honest, we rarely see that in Nintendo games, um, if at all, um, or
hmm.
at least the games that we tend to play.
Right, right,
So when I was able to experience all of that on the Switch console, it was kind of like a mind blow, you know, moment. Um, because it's just like, oh my God, I've been missing out on on this.
right,
And
right.
like I've mentioned before, like, JRPGs are um, was a genre that I had been interested for a while. Um, and that interest increased, with Persona and you and our other friend Andres, started playing and talking about it, and seeing footage, not footage, gameplay of that. Um, Increased that interest, and so I was very. Oh, and we had Fire Emblem Three Houses
Oh
um
my
a little
goodness.
before getting that, which it just kind of, Fire Emblem, I guess you could say, was like the awakening or like the affirmation
Fire.
of, okay, shoot, I need to get JRPGs, I need to get into JRPGs like now. And Xenoblade Chronicles was already in the back of my mind because I already knew Shulk from Smash.
Right.
And so, like, I already knew, okay, well, there's that franchise that I haven't really paid much attention to. I'll get to it eventually. And, I did. And, it was a blast and one of my favorite games on the Switch.
Yeah. You said it better than I was going to. Well articulated. And you also did a pun that you probably didn't catch. You said it was the awakening, Fire Emblem Awakening, bro.
Oh.
Which I got loose actually, for the 3DS for a gift. He hasn't played
Yeah.
it though.
Okay. Okay. He'd probably have a ball with it now, especially after playing Three Houses. All right. The last game that I wanted to talk about for 2017, you guys can probably guess it. It's a big one. Y'all know?
Um,
Odyssey?
Who?
Odyssey?
Oh, Odyssey. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is Odyssey.
oh, I thought you were, thought you were shading it.
Say who? Snoop Dogg? Yeah, Super
Yeah,
Mario
so
Odyssey.
Odyssey, um, I really enjoyed that game. Um, I think that it did bring something new to the franchise. I've I don't know if I've admitted this before, but I'm not really like a huge Mario fan. Um, I mean, some like the games are good, they're enjoyable, and I've played them. I've played most of them, if not all. But it's not like a franchise that I'm just like, oh, when's the next installment coming, or but with Mario Odyssey, but right from the get-go, I was very intrigued by it, just
Mm.
because I remember, like, do you guys remember like when it first was being, you know, promoted, and like all these trailers and not teasers, like gameplay of like the different art styles, like the dragon, the boss dragon
Oh
that was like so
yeah.
realistic in comparison to Mario,
It's so
or like
weird.
or like the actual like citizens uh of the, well, we didn't know the name of the city at the time,
Hmm.
but like it's these realistic human beings compared to Mario's cartoonish um, aspects. So I was very intrigued. I was like, okay, well, where is this going? And I played it. I enjoyed it a lot. I really, really do like um, just how they changed it so that it's easier for you or smoother. Um,
Mm,
in past games, you entered a world and you went after one star, and then it was over. You exited the world, and then you had to go back in to get another star, focus on another quest. Um, and Mario Odyssey changed that by just kind of including all of the stars in this one world. You enter this world and you get to explore and collect them all if you want on your first visit. That I really did enjoy. I think that was, I don't know, I think it made the experience much smoother, much funner for me.
mm.
Um, and in that sense, I think it did kind of revolutionize the Mario franchise, or like uh, the core of what we knew Mario as. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I think it was a really good game. We'll see if we get a Mario Odyssey 2, or they just decide to move on to the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you said it all. I think Mario Odyssey will be like in the top. I don't know, 10 um, Switch games. um, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, you pretty much said it all.
Um, Mario Odyssey is just like it's just associated with so much jolliness. Like I remember back in the day, I still watch this reaction from time to time. There's an Easy Allies reaction where they were reacting to what was it? It was probably the Nintendo Switch presentation
The
back in
E3?
like early
Oh no,
early
yeah, yeah, yeah,
2017,
yeah.
and freaking Kyle Bosman on there. It was like his dream to have Mario in like a cityscape or whatever.
Hmm.
And he was like freaking out. Like he was like, "Oh my gosh, it's a dream come true." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "Oh snap!" This like Mario means a lot to people,
Hmm.
and like for it to be to deliver on this scale, have it look beautiful, make a new mechanic that with Cappy that was so fluid and so fun to mess with, the possibilities of where you could traverse, and yeah, just what was saying pretty much as well. Um, had so much fun with this game. I think this game is probably, dare I say, my favorite game on the Switch, right beside Smash. Probably, I would put it right up there.
Wow.
Yeah, I just have so much. It's just a game you just have so much fun, just like being the character. You don't have to have anything else except the character and his movement. And I feel like that by itself is really really fun. And then once you compound all the clever uh, puzzles and secrets, the outstanding vistas that Nintendo has created, it's just delightful. Not to mention that if you play this with somebody, it just makes it better as well. All right, so that's gonna be 2017. That took longer than I expected, but it was fun going through all these games.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, 2017 was a banger, y'all. What was it? Arms, Splatoon 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild, 8 Deluxe, Kingdom Battle, and we didn't even name all of the other ones that came out. But
Mhm.
what a year! What a year to start
Yeah,
off a new
yeah,
console.
exactly. Like looking back at it now, like it was packed.
It was
Like there were a lot of
stacked.
good games.
Yeah.
Hmm. We were happy and we didn't know it. Yeah.
All right, so we're definitely going to continue this. This was too fun to not continue. All right, so before we do the sign off, we still have to do one thing, and that is rank some games.
Do, do, do.
So The last podcast that we did right afterwards, we chose 5 games from the year 2000 that we thought were the best. Those games were Counter Strike, Majora's Mask, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, The Sims, and Diablo 2. How are we going to approach this?
Right. I think we should start with
The weakest?
the weakest one, maybe?
I think the weakest.
Okay, so who do you guys think is the weakest out of those five?
The Sims.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. How are you, Luis? Can you repeat the options again?
The options are Counter Strike, Majora's Mask, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, The Sims, and Diablo 2.
Mm, I mean, I've never played Diablo 2, but when I hear of those games, that's the first one that pops in my
Hmm,
head for number five.
got you.
Um, and I mean, I might be missing something because like I said, I haven't played that game or that franchise. Um, but I feel like The Sims, I don't know, when you think of like simulation, um, I don't know, I feel like The Sims is like the poster
Hmm,
child of that that genre. Um,
true, true.
whereas, with Diablo, I don't know if it's the first game that people think of when they think of you know, that genre of games. But that's just me. What do you guys think?
Diablo 2, I think, is one of the best. What is it? Looter slashers, maybe what it's called. I don't know. It's like where it's a fixed camera angle. You go out, you kill enemies, get loot, and then redo that loop. I feel like a lot of games take that inspiration, but I think you're right that The Sims just like it's an icon. It's really iconic. It's a good game too. So I think yeah, The Sims might be not number 5, probably number 4.
Mhm. Mm, yeah, I don't know. Um, like, cause when I think about let's say between Diablo 2 and The Sims,
Hmm.
I think Diablo 2, um, it's- I think more people or how do I say it? Um, mm, it holds up more. I think
Mm,
Diablo 2. I mean, we are getting they're releasing a remaster of it. Um, and that game, like a lot of people love the game. It's like a standard, or it was the standard. And again, I'm very unfamiliar with that genre.
right, me neither.
Um, so, but every time they talk about Diablo and that those styles of games, or I always hear people talking about Diablo 2, like Diablo 2.
Mm,
Um, there was a reason why a lot of people wanted it ported or remastered or um, um and I've never played it, but I do think that it's sort of like an iconic video game. Um,
mm,
um and The Sims, but The Sims is still in a way, it's still, The Sims is still a franchise that keeps going on. Uh, uh, I think the last game we got from The Sims was like 4 years ago, I want to say. Um, but I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
It's tough.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll make it easy for you. I believe it's The Sims at number. I mean Diablo at number 5. Jose thinks it as well, so democracy.
All right.
Majority it is, so we can
I'm
shut
good
up,
with
you
that.
know.
Okay. All right, Diablo number 5. Does that make The Sims number 4, or do we slot in something else? You guys have an argument for anything else to be number 4?
Mm. Well, I'm also unfamiliar with Counter Strike.
Yeah.
Like, have you played Counter Strike?
I have not played Counter Strike.
Hmm.
At least
So I don't know.
I might have played it once. I don't know, dude, but I didn't bother to really commit myself to it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
So I don't
Uh,
know much about the game either to see where it stands or how it compares with the others. Um, but that's another game or a franchise that they're still releasing games for it.
mhm.
And it's a very I think it's a beloved franchise or shooter game.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know about its influence. I don't know about pretty much anything
I
about
think
the
that
game.
first person shooter competitive multiplayer, I think that's Counter Strike.
Hmm.
And then you know how big those games are now. They've been freaking dominating for who knows, like decade or more.
Hmm.
The Sims is just same argument though. Like that's the simulation game.
Right.
This
I
one's
put the
harder.
Sims. I put the Sims 4 and then Counter Strike, just because I think like the shooter genre, it's dominating, I guess, and well the multiplayer shooting, aspect of it,
I feel like
and
I feel like that genre's been getting better, while The Sims has been like,
yeah.
I
Pretty stagnant.
Hmm. So I'd be okay if Counter Strike is 3 and Sims is 4.
yeah, I'm of the same mind. Okay, okay. So The Sims is 4, Counter Strike is 3. Is that fine?
Yes.
Yes, sounds
All
good.
right. All right, so that leaves the top two. That's going to be Majora's Mask and Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Mm.
Well,
Well,
I'm a little biased here.
Let's just get it out the way
So,
now.
yeah, let's just put that, on the table. Um, but
Y'all better make a good case for Majora's Mask.
I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I I love Majora's Mask. It's probably my favorite. It's tied between that and Ocarina of Time.
Hmm.
Um, I love how innovative it is. I love how weird it is. Um,
Hmm.
the whole, 3 days to save the world, and then if not, you have to go back in time and start again aspect. I don't know if any other game has explored something like that. I'm pretty sure there has been.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Um, and I think it's a masterpiece. I love that game so much. But
However, come.
um, I don't know if, and this might be controversial. I don't know, but I don't know if it has had the same reach
Mm,
that Capcom v Marvel has had. Um,
that was going to be the crux of my argument.
yeah, and I'm not taking away Majora's Mask perfection, you know, the innovation, et cetera, et cetera. I love that game. It deserves everything. But if we're talking about for that specific year, if we're talking about, um, I don't know, like in comparison to, Capcom v Marvel, um, I feel like it could take the number two spot. Um, and I feel like Capcom v Marvel deserves the number one spot. What do you guys think? I think so too. Like Jose said, the Majora's Mask, it changed my life, and I'm asking, but no, but it's a really good game. One of the best, I'd say. It's mind blowing how different of a Zelda game it is compared to the previous games. Um, and I don't know, like the mechanics in that game. It's how have to deal with time and all of that. I do think that no, like no game has. Well, I don't know if other games have tried it. I'm sure there has, but I don't think no other game has been able to do it like Majora's Mask did. But then I look at Marvel v Capcom, um, and I don't know, like that game, like it was everywhere,
Yes.
and it was in the arcades. And, the outreach was huge, and people loved the game. I played the game, uh, and uh, I don't know, like it's the influence it had on people, the reach it had, um, everything about it, the look, the music, and I think it compared compared to Majora's Mask, I think this game, it's far far more recognizable, far more um, esteemed, I guess, because that's another thing. And a lot of people don't like Majora's Mask, or they couldn't get into Majora's Mask because of, like I said, the mechanic of like the time and having to.
Uncultured swings.
Um, and we can. That's another argument, right? But
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah, like when I think of a fighting game, like I think of Marvel v Capcom. Like in my case, because it's one of those games that I played a lot when I was a kid, and I would go to arcades, because of Spider-Man and all those characters that we know and care about. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind putting it in at number one.
Yep. Not too long ago, I tried to play. I got Majora's Mask for my 3DS. I've been liking it. Took a break from it, but
Hmm.
you already know how I feel. I'm not the biggest Zelda fan, so you already know where I'm
Hmm.
thinking.
Right, and well, yeah, and like I said, even if you are a Zelda fan, or if you think that you played all these Zelda games, and you play Majora's Mask, it might be a little like it might throw you out of the loop, right? And you'll be
Hmm.
like, "What is this?" Because I remember playing it, and having played Ocarina of Time, and and going into this game, it's like completely different. It's kind of like weird, and I remember thinking it was really hard back then, like when I was a kid,
Hmm.
because you had to think about the time and then go back, and then it was weird. Obviously, when I grew up and I played again, it made more sense, and I was able to manage all of that. But I mean, it is a weird game. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. I think that's gonna do it for our list. Then it's going to be number 5, Diablo 2, The Sims 4, Counter Strike 3, Majora's Mask number 2, and number 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Pretty good list. I like it.
same. I'm satisfied.
Yeah. All right. So that does that. Let's move on to our sign off. So, audience, we have been Roll Jump Media. We aim to do this podcast every week. Sometimes we do take breaks just in case, like sometimes things come up, but the aim is for every week. Uh, we do this podcast, we do streams, we post things on our YouTube channel at times. This podcast, for example, I haven't done this in a little while, so it's a little rough. I'm sorry. So if you want to check us out, we check us out on YouTube, Twitch, social media channels, Twitter, Facebook. We're on a few. So if you look up our name, Road Jump Media, with the social media of your choice, we should pop up. Thank you very much for watching. And before we sign off, do my co-hosts have anything to say?
Thank you guys for tuning in. Till next time.
Thank you all for joining us. Play Monster Hunter Rise.
All right, you guys. See you next time. One for JJ.